Friends, I remember going to my father's office. It was a company, it was a government, public sector company. And he was an officer. My father was an officer. There was my chacha also, Baba in Telugu. I think my father's younger brother. He was also working. He was in a clerical class there. So I remember going to his office, and then he taking me to somewhere else, the within the departments, etc. And while I was walking in the corridor, my uncle and me were walking in the corridor, talking something, and suddenly my babai moved to the extreme end of the one corridor and asked me to move. And his body language is, "Hey, come here, come here, come here, come here, come here." Some as if giving way to somebody. And one person was just passing. I saw that person, but I didn't, because it was sudden. I didn't comply with my uncle's request. I was just wondering. I looked at that person, but I still did not move, and that person passed us. Afterwards, I asked who was he. He said he was a director, one of the directors of the company, and he asked me why I didn't move. I said, why should I move? Because there is a lot of place anyway. He can pass. He said, no, 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 no. They are big people. We should always be respectful to them. Yeah, it is respectful to give way. If I was standing in their way, I would definitely give. But physically, whatever frame he has, there is a lot of place for that physical frame to pass by. So is he more than his physical frame? Does he have any size that I'm not? It is not visible. Then my uncle scolded me and said that no, no, we are small people. We should always be respectful. Fine, but respect is respect. But this is not respect. This looked complete slavery kind of thing. So that stayed in my mind as an impression. Why am I telling you now? Is whatever form, we may in appearance we may have removed the differences in the hierarchy, etc., but slavery is still slavery. In employment, I'm talking about. uh, when I later, after many years, maybe 10 to 15 years, I went to a software office. It was the first time I'm understanding software culture, etc. So I found one of my friends who was able to call the CEO Arjun. He was, sorry, who was able to call the CEO with his first name. So I said, okay, there is no Mister or there is no Siri, etc. He didn't attach any respectful title or anything like that. He just called him by first name. So I asked him, uh, is the CEO? Are you sure you can call him like that? Then he said, no, yeah, yeah, it's a software industry. It's all fine. Everybody calls here by their first names. It was good. Like, and frisking. Everybody gets frisked. Security checkup, everybody gets checked up physically. So they will be frisked. So I thought, okay, it's much better as a culture. But there earlier, in the earlier incident, there was, in my uncle's incident, at least there was some surety for their jobs. They never were insecure about their jobs. That tomorrow, they were not worried whether tomorrow their jobs would be there and whether their family will continue in the same circumstances that they are in or not. They were not so insecure at all. They know once we get a job and we do our best, at the end of the month we get salary and this job will continue. Okay, unless I do some really big crime, I will not be dismissed. Okay, even if there is some suspension or some transfer may happen. That's all. That was their position. But here, other things are okay, but you compromise on some other things like security. Tomorrow your name may just come in a notice and then you will be removed and you will not be able to, if you are called by HR and you will be asked to resign, They will not even allow you to go back to your cabin and then carry your things. Either you will have to get it by your friends or from security. I don't know the process, but I was told that you cannot go back, and you will be logged out of the office computers. See, as a system, it is right. They're protecting themselves because you might do something against the company once you know you are no longer with the company. All of that is there. But I'm just trying to say slavery is still there everywhere all the time. Earlier, here, now, everywhere in employment. But that takes different forms. Some forms are rough and some forms are softer. But slavery is slavery, right? So if you are sensitive enough, you can recognize that. Now, what should we do about this? We should be able to. It's very simple actually, but when I tell you that simple solution, people will think that simple solution is far fetched and it is not practical. Now, solutions are solutions, whether they are simple. Suppose the solution is very tough, even then you have to implement the solution if you want solution, if you don't want problem, right? So whether it is tough or easy should not matter, whether it is comfortable uncomfortable should not matter, whether it is to your liking disliking should not matter, whether it is right or wrong, whether it is required or not required. This should actually decide whether we implement a solution, accept it, digest it or not. So every human being has to consume some amount of food and etc., fuel, etc., in this world, in this life. So it is not our choice whether we are consumers or not. So we will be forced to consume something from this world. Whereas we have the ability to produce things that we all need. What we all need: food, shelter, clothes, comfort. We can produce all these things. Even things for communication, things for conveyance, vehicles, all of that, electronics, and whatever we want, we can produce, right? Human beings are only producing even now. But if we think that only when factories produce, like in thousands or even tens of thousands together with machines, if they are producing, only then that is production. Then what is happening is you are producing too much of what you don't want, and only when you see that the desire is being created by somebody, by external forces, but it is not there, that is your not requirement, still you are trying to produce, and only unless and until you are part of that production and you will contribute to the economy by consuming, by spending money, you are not valued. All of this is toxic and it is business point of view. So the main problem is business people employ psychologists and strategically make dent in our psychological homes, in our minds, in our psychological dimension, without us knowing it. They, their success depends on how well they can make masses think what is beneficial to the businessmen as the benefit of their own, the masses benefit. Okay, so if masses think that whatever behavior is beneficial, really beneficial to the businessmen, is beneficial to them themselves, only then these masses would work. So this is the soft kind of war. Okay, so not software, but it is soft war that is being waged everywhere in this world from decades now, more than a century now. Okay, so people don't need to physically occupy you geographically, but people, who control money masters in this world, they control our minds, and that is the real control. That is exactly why they give you some freebies, like the mail service, the social media service, etc. All of that, they get data, they understand what you are, who you are, where you live, what you do, what your preferences are, what your philosophy is, what are you. So then they will have all that data collected into big data, and then based on that they decide what your choices would be in the future. They will see the trend also, and they will also see who is in minority, who is in majority, who has influence, who does not have influence, and thereby they strategize how to take your money from your pocket to their pocket. Whatever little that you are earning, that also should come from your pocket to their pocket, but with your consent, not fully informed consent, half informed consent. Okay, consent enough to think that you are doing it, consent not enough to make you understand that you are under their influence. Hmm. So this is what is manipulation, and that is exploitation. So earlier in the earlier part of the video, I talked about slavery. Now this is all exploitation. Okay, so this is exploitation is business, slavery is employment. So these two are the biggest vices in human life today that are holding almost everyone under their clutches, in their clutches, and people cannot escape. Okay, so just because people cannot escape and somebody talks about it, talks about the escape, they will say that be practical, what is this, etc. So yes, I'm practical. All of every word that I just spoke is true. I can prove, there is data for that. You also will agree with me if you talked with me for some time, and if I show you evidence, etc., then you will agree with me. I know that. But even after your agreement, you will not be able to do anything about it. That is the amount of slavery and uh, exploitation we have gone through by now. So we are powerless, right? So within this powerless people, also there is this hierarchy. When you go to some functions, etc., I mean family functions, or when socially you meet, you think, see, he's not doing anything. See, he is only earning 2 lakhs per month, I am earning 3 lakhs per month. See, his children are not in international schools. See, my children are in international schools. Look where he lives, look what he wears, look, his car does not have sunroof. This is the kind of all of this is like childish talks. Like prisoners, like for example, in prisoners, in a prison, there are different classes of prisoners, right? So some prisoners don't need to even go and do the work that the police will say, because they are senior and they are experienced and they have managed people with some money from outside that they smuggled. Okay, some prisoners might be have access to phones, etc. This is what we hear. I don't know whether it is true or not, but they will have, some prisoners will be able to get many favors from, etc. So there will be, but all of them are prisoners. So in this society, the success of these business people, these filthy rich people, these money masters, depends on masses believing they are free when they are when they are actually not free. Physically they are free. They may even have choice to do various things, but whatever they do should lead to the money master's profit. That is how the system has been designed. If the system itself is designed like that, where you are kept free to an extent, and whatever choices you make under this freedom's umbrella will give them profit, you don't know that. You can't even say that you don't know that. You know it half. You know it, but you don't realize it. Knowing and realizing is different. You know it as an information, but because you can't do anything about it, you will not worry after 2 days. After 2 days of realizing this, you will never worry. You will never be able to go and become one money master by yourself if you are following this system. And that is why education system today is just reinforcing this and catering to this whole system that I just talked about, which is broken in terms of justice, working in terms of practical, whatever pragmatic wisdom that you are saying should be a requirement for everyone to live today. Okay, thank you for listening.